Welcome to the Ready Set Do podcast, where we discuss remarkable stories by regular people. I'm Naman Pandey, and in this inaugural episode, my guest is Anant Chhajer. As of date of recording, Anant is one of India's fastest growing educational content creators. Anant's content around how to crack the CAT, which is one of the world's most trickiest entrance exams for admission to India's B schools, is consumed by millions of students. We discuss Anant's journey to the best preschool in India and how he got there. We learn about how he chose to risk everything and retake the exam, which is conducted once every year to get to his dream school despite having offers from several other well ranked schools. Anant lays out for us his experience at a top management consulting firm after MBA and the work life balance that comes with that territory. We then get to his initial foray into trying to help other students crack the CAT using online content. We discuss what Anand did to get started and how he has been able to achieve such incredible growth in such a short time. Anand explains how one can find their niche for content creation and some strategies for content ideas as well as tools for generation. Candidly, his advice has already helped me to finally start this podcast, and for that, I'm very grateful. Finally, we discuss monetization and aspects of ethics and credibility that naturally surface once you get to that level. Whether or not you're someone that's on the fence about starting your own content creation journey, in this creator economy we live in, this conversation with Anant will give you an incredible window on how it is never too late to act towards achieving your dreams. The only thing that it boils down to is whether you're willing to ready, set, do. Um, hey, Anant, welcome. Thanks for being here today. How are you?
Been a while that we have really caught up together. So it's great to be talking to you, at least in this format, if not personally.
Yeah, I was just thinking it feels like just yesterday we were lining up outside SB sir's physics coaching. Clearly one of us
Right.
benefited a lot more from that than the other, and I'm not referring to myself. So I know we kind of took different paths. I know I went away to Bangalore and for my college. I guess that's just adulthood in a lot of ways, maybe. But do you want
Yeah.
to talk us through kind of what your journey has been like since those very early days
School
in
years.
in like
Yeah.
2015 straight up. So that almost is a decade.
2014. Yeah.
2014 actually, yeah. So
Exactly a
exactly a
decade,
decade.
actually. Right. So it's been a pretty academic path. In my school days as well. My primary focus was academic. So after coaching as well, that happened. Engineering happened. While I wanted to get into a different university, as you always refer, like IIT coaching, but IIT didn't happen.
Yeah.
A lot of lessons learned over there, and but engineering happened. Pretty good university there as well. Did my chemical engineering, but realized that probably I don't want to get into a core field as such, and somehow ended up in a consulting firm after my engineering. And once that happened, then MBA was the next option. So I did appear for CAT a couple of times, which is a competitive examination that you have to
Yeah.
give for MBA colleges in India. So first time I got a very good percentile, 99.2, which is a pretty good percentile, but such is the competitive nature that the top
Yeah,
three
and
B
just
schools
to
you do
sorry
not
to
get at that.
interrupt,
Yeah.
just to set the context for our viewers, like how many people take the CAT like on a given year?
So currently, I think it's 3 lakh. When I
Okay,
gave, it was around 2.5 lakh people used to give the examination.
okay,
So
that's
2.5 lakhs. So almost, you can imagine 99 percentile. So 1 percentile is probably you have to be among the top two.
it's 0.25 million, right?
Yeah,
So
point
quarter
of
of
million.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
and then you
So
have to be in the top. How much you were saying?
2000.
Right.
2000, that's 1 percentile. And even after that, if you want the top three B schools, that is the IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore, or Calcutta, it's probably, depending on your past academics as well, it's probably 0.01 percentile. So it's almost like top 200 out of those 2.5 lakh people. So
Wow.
the competition is there, certainly there. And lucky, first time it did not happen. I got a 99.2 percentile. So I had some good B schools, but not the top three. decided I had a consulting job offer, so decided to join that. And post
Mm.
that appeared for CAT again. This time was lucky enough to get 99.9, which was like the cutoff I wanted, and happened to be in one of the top three B schools. So MBA happened after that, and after that again joined a consulting firm. This time a more strategy consulting firm,
Mhm.
and simultaneously content creation happened. So
I
it's
see.
it's been like that. Consulting and content creation happened after MBA. So that's a short journey that I've had after
Yeah,
this.
super interesting. Real, just kind of curious. What was that 1 year like? So, like you mentioned, you had given up the chance to potentially go to a business school, just not the one you wanted.
Yeah,
And obviously, I'm sure it's not a given that you would like you would 100% get that score again or something
no.
better. So just like what just describe that year for me where you were just kind of existing and I'm sure preparing very hard, but was there was it ever in the back of your head that it might not maybe you screwed up and that you've chosen poorly or something?
Well, that was, I can definitely say that year was definitely the most challenging one in my life so far. Full of, and but definitely a number of things that I learned during that year as well. So the thing that motivated me to take a drop year even after getting that percentile and not going to other B school, one was I thought probably it's not the best attempt that I've given, especially because there are three sections in this particular paper, and I was the strongest in mathematics and quantitative aptitude. And
Yeah,
in that particular section, I did not do well in that particular paper. Rest of the sections I did. So that one was kind of a motivator that probably this was just one fluke, or this did not happen in this particular year, but probably I can do better. So that was one hit that I had. Secondly, there was this definitely an option that I had a job offer, which was like a safety net.
right.
If suppose MBA had not happened, probably I would have continued in the job. Probably the only difference would have been I would not have been earning the amount that I got after MBA, but it would have led to a good career path as well. So that was one kind of safety net. And apart from that, I think there was always this thing at the back of my mind, especially after engineering, that I'd realized that IIT was the premier institute that you have, and I think I got a rank of around 10,000 or 15,000. I don't exactly remember JE advanced exam that you give. So I had
Yeah.
that rank, and at that time there were few IITs. I think 3,000, 4,000 till 3,000 or
Yeah,
4,000 rank. You close.
I think that's right. Yeah.
S- Yeah, now it has increased, but that time it was just 3,000, 4,000. So I missed it, but just a margin there as well. And I kind of was thinking that 4 years, I was always thinking that probably I should have put in a little bit more effort. When I started preparing for IIT in 11, I was doing pretty well. But slowly, because the effort was not there, or probably I was giving time to other things as well, it did not happen. I slowly started falling back. When I started, I was probably scoring really high in the tuition
Yeah.
exams as well. But later half of 12, when I was in class 12, it did not happen. I realized that no matter how good you are with maths or what physics or whatever, it's ultimately the hard work that takes you in. So that was always there in my mind that this time let's target the premier institute. Let's take a risk. Year was like the kind of motivator. Let's take a risk once. Uh, the worst that can happen is probably I have to settle for something that motivated to take that drop year. But that year
Awesome.
in itself, anyone who is like aspiring MBA aspirant or a CAD aspirant, for them the message would be just do not follow this journey, because that 1 year was definitely very difficult. Every day you would be doubting yourself what happens, because it's just one particular day. You have to go to a new set of examination. You start from zero. You have to give that examination again. Anything can go wrong on that particular day, and that will always hit you that in every day of that year. So definitely it's not worth it as well. In case you think that you can join another B school and that is something that suits your personality, your character, I would definitely suggest them go for it, because that year is definitely going to be very difficult.
Awesome. Thanks for laying that out for us here. So and then one year for fast forwarding, you find yourself in the best B school of the country. What was that like? So as somebody that's been to half a B school in America, which is not really the same, but I did take some classes from Purdue's business school. But I imagine it's just it just must be completely different. But yeah, really here curious to hear your take on like some of the best things that you liked or that you enjoyed the most, and some things that felt kind of lukewarm, that you're like, meh, like that could have been better. I expected better there.
Okay, so like before going to any preschool, you're thinking, oh, the kind of people there would be coming would be super smart and everything. And then once you make it there, it's like batchmates, they are normal people. They're not any different. And that's the kind of feeling everyone will have, whoever has made it to IIM. And the things that I liked certainly was the kind of education that is provided over there, because in the school, my school life as well as engineering, the kind of education obviously was very different as well. It was a lot more based on theory, that there's one particular answer to every question. There is one right answer. If you do not get to that particular value, you're wrong. MBA probably not necessarily only for the top B school, but in general as well, I guess. There's no one perfect answer, and that's the good thing about it. Everything is taught via case studies. So that definitely hits you a lot, because then you're taught that, okay, there's no one right answer to every problem. It's your intuition, it's how you make that business decision that can lead to several answers, and it can be different for different people. There's no one right answer. What you are marked on, especially on an examination, is how you defend your point. So that one was definitely something that was really good. Definitely the you interact with the smartest people around. That is definitely going to hit you. I think more than the education, what sets the B schools apart is the filtering mechanism that they have to get into those B schools. That is really important. You are obviously taking the top, like, zero point 0.1 or 0.01 percentile. After that, there is another interview round that happens before that. So kind of
Hmm.
filtering mechanism that you have, that's strong enough. So the kind of people you interact with all have been toppers. Like, no matter how good you were in your school academically or anything, you go there, you will be humbled. That is one, like, really good thing. Any ego that you had, especially if someone goes there with an ego that, oh, I have been brilliant academically, that will go for a toss, because there you will find someone better than you. That is for sure. Whether it's in quant, whether it's in finance, whether it is in any other subject. I used to take a lot of pride in, I am very good at quant, and the kind of people that I met, I was just like blown away. It was a very different setting. So people are humbled, definitely humbled, that you are probably not the smartest. There are 400 people like exactly like you who are equally smart. So only thing that you can do now is work harder. That's
Hmm.
one thing. One thing probably I did not like was, again, the competitive part of it. There's ultra competition that happens, and probably that kind of misses the point of empathy. Sometimes you want to get into the best firms, you want to get into the best jobs, and even after making it there, and people
Right.
start
It's not
developing that
enough.
self-doubt,
Yeah.
that as well.
Yeah.
Exactly, and people
Like
start
you're still
developing
on
that
that
self-doubt,
way.
which is bad. So developing the self-doubt is something which you should not have. Like, someone should teach empathy, someone should teach about those things as well in the B school. I think that is one point that I did not enjoy that much. Probably in engineering, friendship was valued more, but I did make a couple of friends, so no regrets over there as well. But yeah, I think more or less experience was super good. Like, if you have to rate the experience, it was super good, and I'll always recommend everyone, if you get a chance, definitely
Hmm.
experience that life.
Awesome. So, from the perspective of an engineer, or at least an engineer by trade, how different do you think one's experience is in, let's just say, I'm Ahmedabad, versus somebody that comes from, a non-engineering background? So, I'm asking that because you mentioned that you're really good at quant, and I know that personally, but I also believe that because obviously just looking at your trajectory, but that one would imagine that because of that. Somebody that isn't from engineering would kind of struggle with quant. So are you saying that most people there are also just engineers, or there are people that are not engineers but still really good at
So it's both ways as well. There are a lot of non-engineers as well who are really good at quants, but obviously there are people from IIT Bombay, Delhi as well who are really good at quant. And apart from that, quant is like just probably two or three subjects in your whole curriculum. Then
right?
there's a non-engineer who would be really good at finance, or probably who will be really good at marketing. I'll tell you my case. For example, the first class that the marketing class that I sat for, the entire case was over, and I was shocked. What's the right answer? And I don't know the right answer. The case, everything was discussed in the class. I thought that probably next class the professor will start again. It's incomplete. It did not. There was a new case. So before the exam, I had to go to the professor, ask him, like, what exactly do I write in the paper? we did not come to a conclusion. We did not reach the right answer. And then the first thing he asked me was, okay, are you an engineer? Because you are trained to think like in a binary terms. Okay,
Right.
either it's 0 or 1. There's a right answer or a wrong answer, but it's not like that. What we discussed entirely, people were defending their points, we discussed certain logics, and that's exactly how you have to answer. It doesn't, I don't care what answer you write in the paper. What I care about is how you defend that answer. So that one was kind of a, you can say, for an engineer, a cultural shock, that there's no
Hmm.
right answer and everything is very vague. So some of the non-engineers, especially people who come from BBA background, they are used to writing those kind of answers, especially marketing paper, HR paper. So for them, probably those things are they can adapt to that better. Quant paper, we can adapt better. And it's kind of collaborative atmosphere within the college as well. So I teach quant to someone, they will teach economics to me. So it's kind of collaborative atmosphere, and you have to depend on other people. That's another good thing. Now that you pointed out, I have to point that uh, you have to depend on people, unlike school or college, where I used to think that okay, I can do everything on my own. In MBA, I realized that it's not possible. I cannot do everything on my own. There will be a group project. I have to rely on 6 people who are there in the group. I cannot do everything on my own. There are different subjects, so many subjects. I have to depend on someone to teach me something which I don't know.
Right.
So that's kind of collaborative atmosphere. You learn and adapt in the B school.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that aspect of getting used to case studies that you mentioned. It was the same for me. I was just like, what is going on right now? But yeah, I did enjoy those a lot. I will say it was just such a fresh take. It was nothing like I'd ever experienced before, and I just, yeah, felt like it was such a good way to learn. Um,
Exactly.
but moving forward here, so after that, you finished your MBA and then you started working. And
Yeah.
yeah, before we get to like my main next question here, just describe a generic work week for you, at least in those times. Just say the first few months of you starting out. Was it extremely hectic like management consulting can be, or did you have a different experience? If you could kind of lay that out for us.
So it is kind of, or you can expect long working hours in management consulting in general, but it also typically depends on the kind of projects that you are into, and also the geography where you are working. So some
Mm.
geographies, they have like extended long working hours. They expect you to work that many hours. Some geographies are different. So it completely depends on the project, I would say.
Okay.
So initially, I think the first project that I did was in, I think, education sector. It was kind of good itself. After that, for a long time, I had worked in tourism. Again, that was also good for and around like 2 or 3 projects in tourism. So some of them like really good, one of them pretty hectic as well. It all depends on the client and the project that you're in. Apart from that, I think more than the working hours, it's about the culture of your team as well that determines how hectic will the work week be. So it can be a 14-hour work, but you can absolutely enjoy your work, and the next day you are like rejuvenated to start the work again. So it can be like that, or probably it can be an 8-hour project, and but next day you do not want to wake up and start your laptop. And I think all depends on the team that you're working with, your immediate colleagues, and the client that you're working for. So in that way, yes, you can expect definitely more hours compared to, say, a typical other roles. Uh, Investment banking, consulting, these are like typically are known to have long working hours. You can expect that, but yeah, depends on the project.
Got it. And does it also differ from company to company? Because I'm only asking because of a recent news about, I'm sure you've heard
Yeah.
about the person that took their life. We don't know yet, I think, why that happened. But yeah, so
Yeah.
does it also just depend from company to company, or is it mostly just a overall broad management consultant thing where you can expect to work these long hours? And we don't have to dwell too much
Think
on
it
that, just
does.
yeah, out of curiosity.
Yeah, I think it does to an extent. It does. So the top 3 firms that if you look at them, I think the expectation is also based again on, we come back to competition part of it. When you are in the top 3 firms, the kind of expectation that the client has probably from the firm as well is different. The kind of projects that they engage in, if it's a due diligence project, especially in, say, in M&A, private equity due diligence projects, you can expect long working hours there. Some maybe implementation project, you can expect the hours that you have to give will probably be different. In a core strategy project, again, it can be a balance, it can be a mix of both as well. So you can expect, again, it depends on those firms as well. It depends definitely on the project that you're working in. But yeah, to an extent, because of the top firms also have this up or out policy that they call that either you get promoted in 2 or 3 years, else you will kindly asked to leave because probably you're not useful to the firm. And because of that competitive nature, people try to put in that extra amount of effort, and then kind of like 14 hours becomes the norm. That if you're not putting in 14 hours, you are falling behind. So that kind of becomes the norm. Whereas probably in say a different firm, if you're putting in 14 hours, then you are already ahead of the
Got
curve. So 14
That's
hours is
so
the norm in
interesting.
some place, and 14 hours probably is ahead of average. So it can happen.
Yeah, this is the first time hearing of up or out, and yeah, it does not sound like like a work culture that's very conducive to um I guess
Definitely. It's
a healthy
cutthroat
work life
competition.
balance, if I may say that. But that's very
Definitely.
interesting. So you're doing that. You're in the grind. You're just pumping those hours out, and at some point you decide to start helping other people by way of making content on Instagram around preparation strategies for the cat, um,
Right.
and everything after. So talk us through how that happened. Because I know you have, just for context, I know you have like a really big user base now, viewer base, I should say, that rely on you and that are now used to your good quality of content. So how did that come to happen?
Okay, so that started kind of as a hobby, I would say. The first time that I posted, I think, on Instagram happened while I was in B school itself, I think. That's the first time
Okay.
made the first post. And it was just like a hobby. I knew certain quant tricks and knew certain things in mathematics that probably other people did not know. And I wanted to put that out, certain tricks for CAT aspirants. And I just started putting it out, and I realized probably after a couple of months that problem exists at a higher level. People do not want to go into that specific, but people want to understand what exactly is MBA at that level, what how to prepare for CAT. That kind of problem exists. So took my content to that level, probably you can say a level above that. And again, that was also continuing as a hobby itself for a couple of months. Again, for a couple of years, I would say that stayed as a hobby. And kind of for I think 3 years, I was not like very frequent in posting as well. It was very inconsistent. I was never taking it as something seriously to be considered. And I think it was in February or March of 2023 that I realized that probably there is a lot of potential here. There's a lot of potential in distribution, in creating your own distribution, in creating your own personal brand. That's why you will see a lot of entrepreneurs coming to content creation. A lot of people now with good professional credibility starting their content creation journey. So this is the time when I also became serious about it. And I think March of 2023, when I seriously started taking content creation and started thinking about the numbers. And that's how it evolved. And from March 2023, so most of the user base or the viewer base that I have, that is from March of 2023 till today. So it's probably,
Got
you can say the entire content, the 3 year was like just the foundation. The
it.
entire thing has been built in less than a year. So that's how the
Interesting.
journey has been.
So something that caught my attention was you saying that you realized just this past year in 23 that there was a potential, as you said, in that um, it's not really a niche, but let's just say niche for this context. So how do you think this content or this type of content that we've seen blow up a lot recently differs itself from the official coaching companies that exist? Like there used to be a time that I remember, just I don't know if they still exist, but obviously there's a lot of dedicated like
Yeah,
companies that will take all of your money
right.
and will claim to do everything else for you. So do you think this your expertise or past B schoolers or graduated B schoolers such as yours, their expertise runs parallel to those companies, or would you say it's more of like a supplemental material, or would you say it's just a completely different or new and irreplaceable type of guidance according to you?
Say it's like complementing each other because of a particular reason that when someone knows about CAT, they have to go for a coaching. Either you can do self preparation or you have to go for a coaching to study the subjects in particular. But where I will come into the picture is just preparation, like studying the topics, is not enough. You need to understand that there is a particular strategy that you need to follow so that you do not waste your time on your preparation. You need to understand that how many mocks you should give, what's the right strategy to analyze your mocks, how should you start your preparation at a higher level. So that is where I come in. And definitely a lot of people again who do not know about MBA, what exactly is the career path they can follow after MBA, what is CAT exam. So those are the gaps that existed. Coaching happens after you know everything, that okay, MBA is the right career path for me, CAT is something that I have to give, and that's when I will enroll for a coaching. But before that, to make you aware what exactly is MBA, is it the right career path for you, what happens roles after MBA. So there's a wide information gap over there.
Mm.
So definitely that can be bridged. And after that as well, once you join a coaching, there are certain things the teacher will teach you, the particular subjects, they will teach you the formula and everything. But how many hours you should be giving in, what are the mistakes that you should avoid, especially for a coaching, they will teach you everything, right? They will teach in, suppose I take the example of verbal section, say in CAT paper, they will teach you vocabulary, they will teach you, there are like 5 6 different topics they will teach you. But how much effort to put into each of them, that is where I would come in, because I have been through the process, I know about it, the mistakes that I had done during my preparation that wasted a lot of time. So people can learn from that experience. So that is where I come in. So it's kind of like complement what coaching is already doing.
Mhm.
Obviously I would not go into the coaching path that I'll not teach you that specific problem solving or anything of that
Right.
sort. So coaching is important. Either you can be doing self preparation or join a coaching. That's up to you on how you decide to prepare. But I exist at like a very different dimension as well. So
Makes sense.
that's
It,
how
it
I come in.
almost sounds like what you're describing is that there's almost like a funnel in which you're the top part as well as the bottom part and some middle part. But most of the middle
Yeah,
part is, in fact, that dedicated, very specific, drill down
right,
coaching about all the various stuff. That makes a lot of sense.
right.
So now then, jumping forward here, so when you say in terms of focusing on numbers, is the specific term you use, which I thought was very interesting. How did you optimize for that? Just this, so starting this past year, you're like, I have a platform. Well, you didn't actually have a platform because you were still building that. But you're like, I know my intent. I know what I want to talk about. I know my niche. Now, how did you go about, getting the numbers that, not to just reduce content to numbers, but we know that it can be important, if not the most important metric there. So, yeah, how did you go about optimizing for that? What was your process like?
So, numbers, definitely the followers that you see on the page definitely is important, but also in content creation you will see a lot of people with even 1 million, 2 million followers that probably
Hmm.
people do not know, or they exist for a very different niche. So what is
Hmm.
also important is, when I say numbers, it's also about the community that I build in. It's not necessarily only the follower base. So that's one clarity. And how I went about it is, when I say I became serious about it, about content creation. So what I was doing before that was just putting out content. Whatever I knew, I was just speaking about it. There was no art or science behind it.
I see.
Once I became serious, that's when I realized that there's a lot to learn. Often what happens on Instagram or YouTube, especially, when people start, they think that I've been using the content, I've been watching a lot of content, so I can just start making content and people will watch that. But it doesn't happen there, especially when people come with good academic pedigree, or especially after MBA, I could say people think that, oh, I know about.
Just
So I was there that, okay, you, when you start becoming serious, especially when people come with some academic pedigree, especially MBA, and they are into say marketing or anything, they think that because they understand marketing, they can reach the audience, they can do this thing as well. But the thing is, you have to learn it here as well. You have to pick up the patterns. Obviously, there's no course for content creation, but what you have to do, you have to see people who have become successful. You have to pick up those patterns, why they became successful, and it can be very simple things like the art of storytelling. I did not know this, and in no way, like as an engineer or with MBA, no one taught me storytelling, for example. But it's important. How you start your video, how you end your video, how you create that, and how you build that entire narrative in the video. Those are things that definitely are important to get those numbers, the views, and to reach to broader audience. Just because you make valuable content, just because you have the knowledge, doesn't mean that your content will reach people. So there's
right.
definitely a lot of things to learn. So I think that is what happened when I became serious about it. I started picking up patterns from other successful content creators. I realized what they are doing good, how they are crafting their story, and started incorporating that in my content as well. And obviously, after that, as I always tell people, is initially when you strive for perfection, it never happens. So I just kept executing it. Even today, I do not know which reel will go viral, which video will go viral, or which video will have the views. But okay, there is an art that, okay, if I stick to these things, probably there's a potential in that. It can work, it cannot work, but the probability of working out definitely has increased. And that's why you see that some of the videos do click. The probability of that video clicking is much higher because I'm attaching a science to it as well. So that's
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, and I know that, so at least for me, I know I found you on Instagram, or I should say, refound you when, as I was sharing before we started recording here, just this past week, I get a DM from one of my group chats on Instagram, and lo and behold, it's Anant, and I'm like, guys, this is my friend from school, and it was obviously, it was, I honestly don't even remember what the video was about, but clearly it was good enough for it to organically get forwarded to a group chat that I was in, which I just thought was just the most amazing thing in the world. Um, so what? So is it? Am I good to assume that you started out with Instagram and then you're not doing as much stuff on YouTube, or is that not right?
Currently, I am. So I
Okay.
started out on Instagram
Good
because it's easier
thought
to
process
create
in
short
your
form
head.
content. But
Okay.
yes, now YouTube also happened. It's a similar process. It's just that YouTube is a different kind of a platform. The videos that you put in, it's like a 10-minute video that you have to put in. So there's more effort in creating the video. But it's also important, especially if you are seriously considering content creation, you have to build both. Like very important. On YouTube, you build a very loyal customer base. On Instagram, people won't remember your face, honestly. If you're just even if you are at 1 million on Instagram, because it's a different algorithm. People are scrolling and watching your face. They might forget. YouTube, people are searching for YouTube. You build a very loyal community, and on
That's
Instagram,
so
you
interesting.
create a buzz. So those are two different platforms, and both are very important to work on simultaneously on both if you're seriously considering content creation.
That's so interesting what you said about people forgetting faces on Instagram, but that makes
Yeah,
a lot of sense because yeah, you're just, if you're just, all you're doing is swiping up,
yeah,
you see thousands of faces every day. Why would you remember
exactly.
one
The intent
particular
is
one?
not there. It's all about the intent. Like you do not intend to watch. You never intended to watch my video on Instagram, but on YouTube, if you're searching for something, it's a search-based algorithm. You intended to watch my similar type of content, or sometimes even you searched using my name. So the
Right.
intent is very different in both the platforms.
And what does monetization look like on Instagram? Is that something that you've dabbled with already, or is that something down the road, or just out of
Now the
curiosity?
third is you monetization currently mostly on Instagram happens through brand deals and brand sponsorships.
Okay, so it's not like
So
YouTube where they pay you directly for being a creator based on ad
no,
revenue. Okay,
no, that's not it. They have a subscription model, but some creators use it. Some
right.
creators have still
I
not
have. Yeah.
are still not using it. So it depends on whether you want to take it, but the bulk of the money comes from brand sponsorships, or maybe you have developed some course or something for your
Hmm.
audience. Now you build an audience, you develop a course for them, and that's how you start earning money. So owning a distribution, as I say, is like very important. You can do a lot of stuff once you have that distribution, but yeah, primarily it's the brand sponsorships or your courses or products that you sell.
Got it. And I know you have a pretty wide subscription channel. Sorry, what is it called? It's called a broadcast channel on Instagram.
Yeah.
Is that is that what you're
Broadcast
definitely
channel is
alluding to?
free. No, broadcast channel is
Okay.
free. There's another thing which is subscriptions where people have to pay to watch your exclusive content. So
Oh, okay.
some
I see.
creators use it. It's not, I think, open for all. I think some Indian creators or maybe in US it has been opened. It's not
Oh,
applicable for all as well. But that is also something not all creators are going for, because if you create exclusive content, that limits the reach, and bulk of your money comes from brand sponsorship. So more focus is on increasing your engagement with your follower base rather than creating exclusive content for some of them.
In terms of your Instagram journey, has it happened that you're currently affiliated with a brand sponsor, or is that something that's still down the road for you?
No, definitely there are a couple of brands that I work with.
Okay, I actually
It's
had no idea.
yeah, definitely. It has to happen. In content creation, definitely there is money to make in content creation as well. It's
Okay.
not that the road is empty, and people are making some really good amount as well in content creation. So, but all it depends on the individual. But it's not you do not need to be affiliated to any one particular brand. The brands will reach out to you automatically, and you just charge whatever you want. So that's how it works. But again, after that as well, there's a especially for educational creators like us, it's the road is not so easy because there are a lot of due diligence that has to go into the process, especially because we want to build the credibility that is much more important. So suppose in my case, I would take my examples. Any cat coaching comes to promote their product or promote their coaching on my page. What I have to do is I have to first ask what was the result that you had. You have to show your previous year results. You have to show who is your faculty. You have to show what is the feedback of your current students and past students. If that was not the case, probably there are like more than hundreds of cat coaching that exist today. I can literally go and sponsor any of them, and they do email and they do put out a DM to me. There might be like more than 50 cat coaching who have reached out, but I cannot work with all of them. I can probably work with, say, five, six, maximum 10, which I think is credible, have been able to give me all the data that I requested for, and I can trust them. So, in that way, if you think that any creator who wants to work with 50 plus or 100 plus brands, they can definitely do it. And they can earn a lot as well. But I don't think that's a good strategy in the long run. In the short term, it's much better to build your base only on brands that can give you all the data that you have requested for. So that's probably my take on
Yeah, it
this.
almost sounds like there's a play of ethics here. Like, are you
Definitely.
comfortable attaching your name with something that you don't trust fully? I think that's really
Exactly.
the
Ethics and
question that you're
it's
raising.
actually both. It's like kind of a business kind of a thing as well. I always remember this one story by Narayan Murthy where he did not pay a bribe for importing certain stuff, and he said that I can close that business but I won't pay the bribe. It was kind of ethical at that point of time, but his logic was if I pay the bribe today I have to always pay it. And the thing happened that
Yeah,
now whenever his things were coming, whenever his things were imported, the custom officer knew that this guy will not be paying the bribe. We have to go to the court with this guy, so it's better
right,
to just leave it. Okay, so it's similar way here as
right.
well. It's not only about ethics, but if I think about it in the long run, people will probably trust me more. I can build a better community. So the same brands who I'm working with, probably those 10 brands will give me more money that I could have potentially earned from 50 or promoting hundreds of brands. So it's kind of a business
True.
fundamental as well that is exists here.
Very interesting. I want to take some time to talk about tools. So when I say tools, I'm referring to both the tools or any tools that you use for coming up with new ideas or existing ideas, I guess, for content, as well as tools for then actually going ahead and editing the videos itself. Because I can remember one video that I saw on your feed while scrolling that it had like a really cool phone turning around effect, like it was something LinkedIn or something was open on a phone and it was like revolving around and there was like confetti around it. It was just, it looked really well done, and it felt like at least a good amount of time had gone into building that. So I'm just curious to, yeah, so as to tools on both sides of the spectrum that you use for both coming up with ideas as well as editing your content.
So the thing is that I cannot take credit for that because there's an editor doing it for me. So there's
Okay.
a team behind this as well. When I started, yes, there was this Canva, there is Filmora kind of editors that you use. But once you scale a bit, you do not want to spend a lot of time on editing. You want to spend time on content, on
Right.
thinking about what matters the most. So that's why obviously you outsource it to a editor, and so that's why nothing
Interesting.
much to add over here. And in terms of tools starting up, I think in terms of researching for the content, it's more around the fact that I have been through the process. I know it in and out. So I can save significant amount of time. There can be a lot of creators who will enter the MBA space, just seeing the potential. There will be a lot of creators who will enter this space, but the thing will be that to get that community thing, establish that community, because you have been through the
Hmm.
process, I can create many more videos because I've seen the process and I do not need to rehearse. I do not write a script as well for my video, especially when it's related anything
Really?
related to
Okay.
cat or MBA. I because it's pretty simple for me. If you ask me to say create content on something, say coding, where I have absolutely no knowledge, I have to research a lot. I have to prepare a script. I have to talk about it because I cannot. But if you have to talk to me about cat, I can like literally keep speaking all day about the cat exam. I can literally keep speaking all day about the MBA, what happens in MBA, roles after MBA, everything. So I think that's a competitive advantage that I have. Definitely very important for anyone thinking about starting content creation. As try to think about that competitive advantage, because it's not just 10 or 50 or 100 videos that you have to create. You have to create 500,000 videos. So you have to be in that niche where you can keep thinking about content, where you can keep adding value without having to rely on external tools or external research. So that's one important thing that everyone should have in mind. So I think it more comes from my experience rather than any other tool.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then do you have a say at all in the like video editing process? So I'm just curious because you said you outsource that. Are you still
Yeah.
the creative head, or is that also outsourced elsewhere? Because I
No,
think
so
that's something that I would
yeah,
struggle with, knowing that those effects and such exist. So yeah, just
yeah.
how do you navigate that?
Yeah, so there, as I said, when I became serious, that is about picking up patterns. That is when you analyze different content creators. You don't need to necessarily know how to do it, how to put that effect, but you should be able to understand as a viewer or someone trying to pick up patterns, what is working for the audience. So that is something that I think
Hmm.
I can do, that I can pick up patterns from other content creators and I can tell my editors that this is the kind of effect that I can add over, that you can add over here. So yes, that is something I kind of still do, but mostly once you train the same editor, when you're working with the same editor, they kind of know that okay, this is the kind of
Yeah,
video that is expected. So it becomes
I see.
easy
Yeah,
for me as well.
right.
That's
Makes
that's
sense.
how it
It's
happens. And
almost
there's an
like
entire
you're
process.
building a template.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
There's a complete process established. I'm also a big fan of establishing processes. So I'll upload a video, the it will
Hmm.
just go to a particular drive. The editor will pick it up. He would know if there's any specific thing that I want. I would tell him before that as well. So he would just complete the video, put it on the drive back. I would just do a quick QC of the video, do a quick quality check, and then revert to him. And after all the changes, he will upload on the same drive. There's a graphic designer as well who will upload all the graphics related to it, whether it's a thumbnail or a reel cover. So they will upload there,
The
and
thumbnail.
there would be
Yeah.
a yeah. So they will upload it on the same drive. There's another writer who would write the caption, or sometimes the caption or the video description. There is SEO, whatever is to be done. There'd be a person who would give me that. So I'll just be someone who will stick all of these things together at the end. That is one thing. And what a
Right.
lot of content creators do as well is they outsource content research and content writing as well. But that is something I'm not a big fan of, because I think that that is one area I can add the most value. And probably there's, if someone has not gone through the process, they will not be able to replicate what I can add. So that is still something I do. I completely spend my time content research and content writing.
Awesome. Yeah, it does sound like you've curated for yourself like a really well-oiled machine here that seems to be working really well for you, and I'm very glad that's happening. On that vein, where do you see yourself? Do you set goals for yourself in terms of I want to hit this number of average views per video, or this number of followers or subscribers in 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, or is it a different approach just when it comes to planning for, I guess, let's just say near and long term for now? Do you have any goals in mind about specifically things you want to reach, or just trying to help people and do the best job you can with your content and what you say and how you say it, and yeah, really just help people out there?
The thing is, one underlying motivation that all content creators I think should have so that they can be consistent is helping people. That is what genuinely gives me the kick if someone gives me a message that, okay, this video really helped me, I could crack CAT because of you, I could get this internship because of you, that is one thing that definitely motivates, gives the kick. Apart from that, I would say in terms of numbers of followers and subscribers, there's no goal that I set in. uh, it's just that if I have created a video, the next video I will try to do a little better, something more in editing, something more in terms of the hook that I want to add in the video, and try to like surpass the best reel that I have created. That's, I guess, the only uh, motivation, or that's the only goal that I set for myself. Every video I want to like surpass something. No, if you keep thinking about the total followers, it's something which is ultimately you are dependent on some algorithm, on a platform's algorithm. So there's no much thought about it. It's no use giving so much thought around it. It's just that how can you make the next video better. And probably you already know,
Hmm.
I've been a big fan of MS Dhoni since my childhood. So as
We
he
both
always
have.
says, yeah, actually, we both have been. So as he always says, that there's nothing like thinking about winning the final or anything. It's just that the next match I want to do better than the previous one. Whatever. If the fielding was not good, I just want to improve on it. It's a similar approach. Get better at each video, and the platform's algorithm is, it can be a bit erratic as well. You do not have control over it. So let the platform do its job.
Right, exactly.
You can try to improve.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Anant, for taking the time today and walking us through your journey and for in terms showing us what lies ahead. I definitely didn't think this is how we would be speaking after almost 10 years.
Exactly. Exactly.
But it really does feel like nothing's changed, it just feels like this is exactly how it's really always been. And a big thank you to you for still being just as awesome as I remember you always were, and for helping so many people out there with your content. And I'm going to obviously link all of your places to find you on the show note captions or wherever, so that anybody interested can navigate to yours. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover. Did you want to help close us out here?
Nothing much to add, but pleasure to talk to you. Definitely very good catching up with an old time friend. And thank you for having me here. I'm pretty sure someone who wants to go for MBA or maybe wants to start content creation journey will at least get something out of this podcast. So that's about it. And hopefully we keep doing this more and more often, and keep catching up more often.
Sounds good. That brings us to the end of the episode. I am extremely grateful for every single listener, especially if you made it to this point. I hope this discussion was helpful, and I will be leaving links to Anand's channel in the show notes captions if you're interested in checking out his content. Last but not least, I hope this and future episodes will inspire you to take action towards following your dreams, because a lot can change once you decide to ready, set, do.